Bryan here at IHRSA in 2011, and I was really lucky to steal away Robert Cappuccio, who directs content creation and a bunch of other stuff. He's a very successful guy in the fitness world with the Pro organization, and he was kind enough to spend a few minutes with me asking a few questions. Bobby, thanks for making the time. I appreciate it. Tell me, what have you been up to? What have you been working on lately?
Well, we've launched PTA Global, which is an education and leadership company. Been talking to brilliant individuals all over the world like yourself, Bryan, through PT on the Net. We've launched an extremely successful product, the Viper, through FitPro, and we just have had the opportunity to interface with a lot of brilliant people, and I think even more important than brilliance, because brilliance is sometimes overrated, and that's not to take away what I just said about you, but we get to talk to people from a diversity of backgrounds, because I think when you talk to the same people who are in the same environment consistently, they dress the same, they work within the same arenas, you can't really get innovation. I think Peter Drucker said it, two primary functions of any business, innovation and marketing. So we feel very privileged to be doing what we're doing. I know I feel personally privileged.
Well, that's great insight. So, you know, I've had the pleasure of visiting with you recently, and we recently conducted an interview with FitPro, and I appreciate you inviting me for that. I'm really interested in the future, and I'm really interested in your perspective, because you get around, you talk to a lot of folks, you're involved in a lot of stuff. What would you say succinctly are the two trends in fitness that you are paying the closest attention to? What do you think about those?
I think that's probably one of the most important questions we can possibly discuss, isn't it? And I know that, you know, fitness consultants and fitness gurus have accurately predicted 18 of the past two major trends. So take that for what it's worth. But stepping back at a 50,000-foot view, I think two things to answer that question succinctly and then expand upon that would be group exercise and would be coaching. Interpersonal dynamics, if you will. The ability to identify not just what somebody wants, why they want what they want. And let me quantify for a little bit. You would think that people who want health wouldn't light up a cigarette, right? People who value their family, well, once they out all night, neglect them. And, you know, people who value their sanity won't spend hours and hours of night missing sleep and doing things that seem so contrary to the goals that they explicitly stated are important. So the question becomes, why do they do that? Why in the United States, which is where we're filming this right now, is 16.2% of our gross domestic product spent on healthcare? And according to Alan Dershman, author of the book Change or Die, 75% of all of that money is treating lifestyle-related illnesses. Not really a simple question to answer, is it? If you take a look at Europe, we have 400 million people who are overweight, and the question I have is not who's struggling with this. I think the more important population to look at, Bryan, is who are the people that are getting this right. And they're a minority, to say the least, but how many of those people, and this is a very, very uncomfortable observation, how many of those people are working with trainers? So if you walked into your average health club, and you know, I heard it somewhere, some organization that we might be familiar with, said that 3 to 11% of all of our members are working with a personal trainer. In your higher end clubs, it's not much better. That's 10 to 15%. But this same organization sets a benchmark at 30%. So why are we missing the boat if we take a look at the people who are in our clubs, who have a body that most people would be envious of? They exhibit physical vitality, mental acuity. What are those people doing? And if they're not working with a trainer, and if the people who are running in the park 6 o'clock every morning, who are getting it done, are not getting it done because they know more. I mean, would you agree? If we saw somebody jogging, we pulled them over when they were resting, and we gave them a quiz on neurophysiology or functional anatomy, myofascial lines, what percent would know even when an average trainer knows? So you have to start to wonder, if you're in this business, what are the points of commonality? What's the common denominator that these people have in synergy with one another? Easy for me to say. And I think what it comes down to is these people have certain beliefs, certain values and attitudes about exercise, and that creates certain emotional states associated to physical activity, to exercise, and our emotions are a major determinant of our behaviors. Our behaviors produce our results, and the sum total of our results is, in fact, our level of performance in any given area of our life. That's arguable, but it is plausible. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, sure.
So I think we've been witnessing a lot of trends in fitness over the past 10 years. It's been the age of the mind, of education, functional training, functional anatomy. We've dived down into the metatarsal phalange joint. How many degrees of dorsiflexion does that have? And how does that affect everything up the kinetic chain? And that's important. But I think where we're going in the future has a lot to do with the realization that just because somebody knows what to do is no guarantee that they'll actually follow through and do it. And that's something that I think the industry is waking up to. And we're starting to realize we don't train bodies. We train a human being that resides within them. And then that leads to group exercise. I think the reason why, if you take a look at any part of the health club that's really has grown, group exercise has shown the most promise, hasn't it? Because of psychosocial evidence. Because of the propensity of human beings to take cues from the people around us in groups and do what they do. Dr. David McCone calls that the affiliation theory, right? We become like the people we surround ourselves with. Nicholas Christakis says that statistically, your chances of being overweight or obese increase proportionate to the members of your social circle that are overweight or obese. Why? It's not because it's contagious, it's because we model other people's behavior. So I think group exercise does a few things. One, it varies the point of entry. So I might not be interested in walking up to a health club, whether it's because of perceived time restraints, whether it's because of my perception of what goes on there, or what type of people exercise. Have you ever heard, well, I'll get in shape. When I get in shape a little bit, then I'll go in there. What are they saying? I'm embarrassed, it's uncomfortable. But if you have a wide point of entry, and I can get started, well, that brings people to a realization, you know what? I don't have to be great at this to get going, but I gotta get going if I'll ever do great. So that's one thing, and the psychosocial dynamics, you can't really encompass it in a short interview. The benefits of that type of environment, that immersion, and let's not forget fun, enjoyment, something that we don't really talk about. We do things that we enjoy. How many times do you have to motivate a client to go on holiday, to go out to a pub with their mates on the weekend? Not very often. So why is it they have a lot of energy and a lot of resolve, and finances are not necessarily an issue with those ventures, but with fitness, there are so many more reasons why they can't go ahead and why they should. It's because our pleasure centers in our brain, when something feels good, our head says, hey, do it again. Very little incentive. So I think group exercise also brings the element of fun, engaging environment.
Great answer. Bobby, as always, you're a thought leader in the business, and I appreciate you taking time to share your beautiful knowledge.
Well, thank you, Bryan. Thank you.